On this episode of the Construction Dorks, we sit down and give you a sort of recap of where we've been for the year. We've all been working, we've all been going to shows, we've all been talking about some of the things that are really at the center of the industry: private equity, M&A, data centers, and some new understandings of the way that we manufacture. It was a great conversation, and we hope you enjoy it.
And we're live. What the dork? Where have we been? I mean, it's been a while, guys. Let's be honest. I grabbed these two guys to sit down. I'm calling this one just a special episode post Paradise. We tried to do it in Paradise, boys, but we couldn't pull it off. The beach, the sun, the fun, and the learning, don't get me wrong, pulled us away. We'll get into it in a minute here. Jonathan, I saw you tip back that drink. What you got going, my friend?
We haven't had a bourbon on the show in a while. So it's late enough here. It's been that type of week. I'm doing Rabbit Hole. And legit one of my favorites now. Wasn't before. Got to try it out down in Louisville, and oh my gosh, it easily I got to try their entire range. And this was the one that kind of stuck. And I can actually find it in PA, which is a huge plus, because most of the good drinks you can't find here.
This is true. Now, Travis, you're coming off the road hot. What you got tonight?
I'm just trying to catch up a little bit with a little water. My Smack Nerd MEP mug full of water. Yeah, it's committee meeting time. We're wrapping the committee meetings up with SmackNet, so that means it's been, I think it was 3 days on the road, which means nice dinners out, which we can't complain about. But when you come home, sometimes you just want to chill out, drink a little bit of water, let the organs resettle and heal up a little bit. Which rabbit hole is it? I think it's the Derringer is my favorite. I don't know which one you said you liked.
The Cable Hill. Okay.
Cable
so
Hill?
Tell me what that is.
Cave Hill.
Cave Hill. Okay, right on.
Cave Hill.
Yeah. See the problems with using script versus this font is difficult for us, Rabbit Hole. So if you could help us out there in the future, I'm sure they're going to listen.
I'm sure if you chat GPT it'll tell you.
Yeah.
Right. Jeff, are you drinking over there?
Yeah, I'm going old school. I made an old fashioned in honor of being here. And but it is just your classic Basil Hayden's, an old reliable. I have to say, cheers to Costco for having it at a very affordable price when I was in the store recently. So I grabbed a bottle and said I should have that on the shelf. So, and I thought, I want something mellow, something easy. So did that for the night. So now I want to loop us back though, guys. We tried to do a Paradise episode, Dorks in Paradise, and we were just having the conversation before, truth and transparency. It is extraordinarily hard, no matter where we are in the world, especially Hawaii, to get the three of us or any of us in the same event together down for more than 30 minutes together when we can actually record. So we wanted to, but it didn't happen. But we did all see each other in Hawaii for the SmackNA 2025 National Convention, which was a hit, man. So thanks for having us there, Travis.
Yeah. No, and thanks for you guys for taking part. That was part of some of the meetings that we just were wrapping up. We started and I'll share the survey information out with you guys afterwards here in a couple of days. But very well received education sessions, very well received. Obviously, everybody likes Maui. Kudos, I would say, to the rest of the SmackNA team. Our conventions keep getting bigger and bigger. Obviously, it gets a little bit bigger when there's an extra bump to go to Maui. Some people that maybe normally wouldn't go to convention decide that they need to go that year for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
I couldn't tell you why.
But no, there's some logistical issues. I think both of you have probably discovered it in your sessions. The rooms are a little tight, but all the education was very well received. I think everybody. I'm still hearing a lot of chatter about both of your sessions that you guys did. Jeff, after your session, I think on And then on Wednesday, when I was talking with Devin Madden and Kip Ivey, we kind of rolled back more into the CTO's talk, and that's getting more and more buzz. So again, thank you guys for everything. It was a really good convention. I think we have a lot to build off of, and it was Maui. I mean, you can't really, my only complaint as a grumpy old Midwesterner is it was kind of hot sometimes.
That was the most beautiful I have ever had it, man. That was I came back to snow and was shocked and disturbed by reality hitting me pretty much square in the chin coming off the plane.
Trip back is a rough one.
Oh. Yeah, and just like it always seems like they get you there in 2 hops, and then getting home is going to be going to be a travel. But I would say, as much as you're like, hey, the rooms were a little small, it was also that there was a ton of people. This was a ridiculous number of people, and some of the things you had, and I forget her name, the jet pilot, boy.
Can we talk about her for a second? I can't remember her name.
Oh, Travis, she's totally badass.
To think about it.
Like the super most badass speaker there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a jet pilot come in, explain her entire sort of career arc, and just realize that this is the first female like combat pilot to be part of these groups, and it was a really, really interesting event. A lot of good conversation. I got in a lot of conversations that said that right now everybody's going through growing pains. And that growing, like I got tons of people coming up and saying, we need to expand our shop. We need to expand our footprint. We need to expand our technology. And, that growth mindset wasn't like minor. It was like everywhere. Even casual conversations at tables very quickly became like growth conversations. So I've been to a lot of the different conferences. That's the first time, at least at the tabled events, that I've seen that much interest in growth, like, and in that much sort of focus on it in the middle of, again, Maui and the beautiful weather and the great food, and at times some really, excellent entertainment, and everybody's sort of huddled around the table with their heads down talking about how to grow their shop. It was interesting, man.
Okay, I'm going to second this. Like, I'm going to admit something. They usually go up there. It was at a lunch, and I usually listen to a few quips and I'm out. I love to listen to our industry speakers. I went to John's session. I went to a couple of other sessions. They were awesome. I stayed for that whole session. I kept not being able to leave. Was it Katie Higgins Cook? I'm trying to ask ChatGPT in the background, guys, for the Blue Angels.
Colonel Nicole Malachowski.
Her story is awesome. It's and the way she tells it is poetic and powerful, and it connects. I have to say, and I'll be honest, Travis, I'm with Jonathan. I've been in a lot of places with big rooms where they feel real empty, so I know it's probably not the greatest that it was packed, but it juiced me up. I mean, for my own one being packed, I was like, yeah, packed room, got to deliver. And I would love, and I'll look at the surveys when you send them out, but I hope this is the first one that doesn't complain about the food being served by the team, because y'all nailed it.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
like really, really well.
Yeah. Kudos to the whole staff.
Like
and then everybody that we got to interact with and talk to, great place to do it, but also just the data discussions and the discussions going on, the level of ramp up that we're hearing consistently out of that group. It's awesome, man. It's great to be a part of and included in, but also, feel like you're having an impact. I had that, Joseph Lanzell on, and Kevin McGill and Robert Atwell, and to have people come up and be like, oh my gosh, I had, I connected with this person and that person, and we talked about this. And then, John, I got to go to yours and get schooled, given my, my next role in life
get
right
fire
now.
hosed. You got fire hosed. I have to say, the most horrible thing about speaking at one of those events is I want to tell them, I want to have like 3 hours. I want to have a 3-hour discussion with them, and I have 45 minutes. And I tend to compress, really, really compress down messages. But that was a great group, and I think they got the point. And I was trying to make 2 points. One is that your productivity in your fab shop doesn't stop at the door unless you get paid at the door. And I think that, like, I've been going around to fab shops and I'm watching them, and there's this backlog of stuff coming out of the fab shop sitting there, and it's not delivered. And they're like, "Oh yeah, our fab shop's overproductive." And I'm like, "No, your fab shop's overproducing." And like, cause you don't get paid until that stuff is in the air. So if it's sitting out there, it's still like, you have all that stuff sitting out there, you all should get together and figure out how to get it in the air faster, because right now it's the weakest link in you getting paid. And really like looking at these are the sheet metal people are more manufacturers than anyone else in the industry and have been doing it longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sprinkler might make a little bit of an argument, but I don't think you win. I think they can say that they're legit manufacturers. And because, I'm not a big fan of all the consolidation, but I think because of the consolidation, everybody's taking fab shops much more seriously. They're like, wait, this is somewhere where we can really pump out a lot of volume. And I felt like everybody there was pretty dialed into, we need to get our fab shops to do twice what they were doing before. And then we're probably going to need more square footage on top of that.
But I'm with you, Jonathan. It's about that pull principle, right? It's got to be about, can I pull it to the field to get paid? Unless you're getting paid out the door. Okay, great. If you can find that in your contract to make that happen, that's fabulous. But most people can't. And so it's about getting up into the air and installed and getting paid, and that pull capability. And that's just, it's unique.
It's interesting what you're saying about the fab shops though too. And I think it's a little bit of, obviously we have very high demand. We always keep talking about the worker shortage, and you're starting to see, because we're just like NICA and MCA. Like the majority of our contractors are not huge, right? But you're starting to see a lot of those contractors figuring out how to play in those mega projects, and they're usually a sub of a sub or whatever. But it is that fab capacity, the fact that we build what we install, and most of the time we can work out pretty good partnerships within the association world, within our peers. That is, I think, driving a lot of that. And I used to be a proponent of this when I was on the contractor side, and having some discussions with folks. Is like, I would rather have part of a job than none of a job, and I think that's the way we can kind of balance some of that out.
It's funny. I just did a webinar with Josh Bone, and that was something he was really focused on for electrical contractors. Was like, you used to want to buy out every scope, right? And it's like, maybe you buy out those scopes, maybe you bid those scopes, but maybe you sub out 2, 3, 4 of those scopes that just aren't your forte, and you stick with the ones that are your forte, that you're really, really good at, that you have production level prefabrication manufacturing on, and go look for somebody else to take those other scopes. And even if you're passing it through and it's staying passed through, you're still making more money because you're working on the scopes that you're really, really good at. And I think that's a difficult mind shift for a lot of the people.
And I would also say there's a little bit of an area where the market is dictating certain scopes. Like if your scope was to do data centers right now, you're partying and you have all the work in the world. And if your scope was to do college campuses, you're crying because the college campus budget got cut in so right. I feel like we also, like, even in talking to some of the people there, they were like, they were able to fabricate, say, hospitals at a super high rate. But now that they're doing data centers, they really do need to look at that again and say, well, this is different work. Like you said, Jeff, if it's not what you're best at, it should be what you're trying to get best at, is like your primary work area. You know what I mean? But there is a little bit of that market shift that I think is making this happen. I think the size of those data centers, like you said, means that trying to hone the whole scope is just too much risk for anybody. Like I like the idea of owning a small amount of risk. I love the idea that I sell the duct when it leaves my door. That would be awesome, rather than install it.
I mean, sell the duct when it leaves your door, sell the things when it leaves your door. That's the best methodology. But you're right, man. That's why JVs on the GC side exist. Like, am I mistaken? Do we have that? I think we have those JVs on that side now with the hyperscalers, right?
Yeah, you do. And you see it. I mean, you see it in all the trades too. And maybe not always considered like a true JV, but especially with those mega project type work, like if there's a mega project that's coming into, some random um, place in Tennessee, and try not to disparage any of the contractors there, but there's just not contractors big enough to do the bonding and everything else that goes along with it. So you have a national mechanical or a national whoever kind of move into that area, but they're still partnering with the local. I mean, it's easier than trying to spin up a location, go to the hall, try to find people yeah, we'll PM this job, or we'll do the bonding. We won the job, but hey, Mr. Local or Mr. and Mrs. Local contractor, can you help us out with fab facilities, with manpower, whatever we can do to make the job actually happen.
Yeah. Do you think, Travis, and maybe Jeff, you want to comment too, that do you think that's just the upper end though of contracting, the people that have got to the point where they're comfortable enough to joint venture? Because I know we see a lot of them, but I also, like this year in particular, I got exposed to a lot more shops that were nowhere near that. Like they're running a lot of people, but in my mind, it was the same as they were probably running it in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I think that in what we do, we tend to see, we always talk about shiny objects on the tech side. I think we've got shiny companies, right? We tend to gravitate ourselves to the high performers. But I mean, I think that, a lot of the committees that I've been running on, there are some more of those kind of smaller mid-size, and a lot of them want to stay that way. Right. They want to stay. That's where their bread and butter is. But in the current marketplace, as you pointed out, John, like some of the typical commercial jobs that they would do, the light industrial, the small commercial or whatever, just aren't there, or they're being pulled back on or whatever. So a way to kind of bridge that gap is to find a way to, be part of one of those joint ventures or provide a little bit of support. Obviously it's very regional, right? Not everywhere is getting all these data centers and everything, but that's kind of what I'm seeing there.
Yeah, I'm with Travis on that one, John. And I think in that respect, they don't want to be the joint venture, right? That's where the sub of a sub is the way to go.
Right.
To be that, I'm subbing out. And I think, Travis, you're right. It's an interesting way for those smaller contractors who have, people look down on a lifestyle business. You have to understand that being a lifestyle business is not a bad thing. It's a decision to say that I am going to manage my risk, my scope, my size to continue to create a lifestyle, which could create wealth into multiple generations down the road, as long as I understand how to adapt to the changing environment. So now I can't fabricate for a hyperscaler, right? And the work I've been doing, commercial, et cetera, is not great. But I have fantastic people and processes and teams so I can adjust to install. I can become the sub of a sub on these jobs. Mm-hmm. I can be the go-to, the stalwart. I'm not going to screw you. I'm here. I hold to my contract. I know what I'm doing. I deliver in my scope. Okay, great. And maybe my scope changes a little bit. I become, and John, we've talked about this before, like, not everybody can be a fabricator in the end. Mm-hmm. We need installers,
right?
And we need professional installers. How about for a period of time, you become the team that understands how to install bigger and bigger, kits and assemblies and those Lego building blocks at scale. You put your people in, you do it. And by the way, what a great end to be on. We just said the person that fabricated all that doesn't get paid till it goes in. Guess what? You're putting it in, you're getting paid.
Yep.
So you're getting closer and closer and taking less risk and bringing more expertise. Okay? Like, that's a shift, but it's worth it.
Oh, I agree. And I think that, I know a lot of people working at the president level and the vice president level in some pretty big companies that are pulling in a lot less than some scrappy little guy doing service work with 3 people. And I'm not exaggerating at all. Like no. I'll meet them and they'll be like, this is what I made last year. And I'm like, you out earned the presidents at like these 3 companies. And I bet you had less work. and enjoyed it more. And you got a handshake from that person when you fixed their whatever.
I've written an article about this before, and we've talked in it. It was more about like KPIs, but kind of the measure what matters is, and I think we've talked about this before. We all, a lot of us, because of the way that our industry reports numbers and kind of ranks everything, everything's all about that revenue number. But it's like, I'd much rather have 20% less revenue and 20% more profit. Like,
yes,
or, and that's volume, right? So volume of work, that means less headaches, less risk, less. But if I'm still making if my actual profit or income stays the same or is above, I'm fine staying the 25 person shop. That's great.
See, but I think that the reason you can do that is the 25 people. If you get to like the 200 person shop and you're trying to like solidify at 200 people or fall back to just do higher profit margin, I feel like that's a trickier game to play. I feel like we had a couple contractors, particularly this year, that tried to do that. We're going to cut back, but we're going to get more profitable. And they were just big enough where it's like, that is going to be far more difficult than growth. Like growth, I don't know that in the long run it's not the better decision, but I do think it's probably more difficult.
Well, I mean, I think when you grow that big, right, or you get to that size, you have that overhead that needs to be fed. You have that big machine that needs to be continually fed, right? So it is a difficult needle to thread.
Yeah, I mean that's the group that I've never divulged because I was never allowed to, that capped themselves at $4 million and we're at 40 to 50% profit every year to split between 3 to 4 owners.
Yep.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like a problem.
Yeah. Don't grow, don't shrink, always have full, or always saying no. And they were like, and by the way, you can't quote us, you can't put us anywhere, and we don't want to talk to nobody. And I was like, well, great. I'll just keep telling that story 5 years later. And I hope y'all are still out there doing it. But John, to your point, though, about that is you have to make that decision earlier in your process.
Yeah, correct.
Because the problem is most of them make it when it's too late and they've already built that back end overhead burden that they then requires layoffs or other things because you're saying I'm going to do this. So that is, again, why at every step of the way, leadership needs to be looking not in the business, but on the business itself and where you're going to be in 2, 3, 5 years and what you want to go to, because those are very, very different choices that you're going to make along the way.
That guy Nassim Talib that wrote Skin in the Game and Black Swan and everything.
Yeah,
he's a big proponent of of not thinking that getting bigger is necessarily a value statement. Just because you get big doesn't matter. It does to a certain portion, but like in a very real way, it doesn't equate real well with success all the time. And I think that's somewhere where we're losing it. Like we have huge companies that have never made a dime. You know what I mean? Like massive companies that never made a dime. Are they more valuable than like the small company that's been making $1 million each year? It's like, I don't know.
Best way to get thrown out of a leadership room is, well, we want to grow from X millions to, 2X that millions to 4X that millions, and then go, why?
Right.
Yeah.
Cause we should be bigger. Why? Because if you want to put all the butts back in the seats that it takes to grow to there, that's a lot of risk that you're incurring for pretty much the same amount of profit to spread it out amongst the same amount of people. So to me, that's probably a bad business plan. And then the knife hits you in the throat and you're out. Come on. That's the way it goes. I've had that conversation and it doesn't go over well. But the good ones go, oh, wait a second. Maybe. So we could talk about this ad nauseum for a long time. I'm going to pivot us for a second here, and it's into something that relates to this. And then we're going to get sort of into a little bit of our feelings of the year, but I'm just going to lay it out there. M&As are big.
Yeah. Yeah. They're everywhere. And we, at our convention, we had a couple of folks from brick and mortar come in and talk about outside capital coming into the industry. Now they obviously from their end, their scope, they were looking more at like on the software side or other type of stuff. But they did talk too about VCs and private equity even coming in, snatching up contractors as well. And we've talked about that a little bit too. You're right. Like this, and I don't know. I mean, there are some that really make sense to me. Like there's, different. We've got some friends that have worked for companies that it really did make sense. Like it was the right add to the company's portfolio after going after a certain types of work. But on the other end, you just see, and this isn't in my understanding. It is more like just equity companies going out and scooping up some of those small to mid-range contractors who's whatever. They don't have an heir apparent. And I was just in the meeting I was just in too, we were talking about multipliers and whatnot. And it's pretty amazing what that multiplier does if they have a service component. Cause I think, because they're usually
recurring income versus all that risk, convexity versus concavity. Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Right. And it is kind of interesting, good, bad, or indifferent, just kind of watch what it does to the industry, right? Because you have some of them that do have a construction background and they kind of understand what we do and the benefits of doing some of the industry outreach and whatnot. And then you have other ones that are just flat out business people and like, nope, we're cutting everything off. We're putting, every dollar, we're going to keep our secrets. Every dollar is only for the business, yada, yada, yada. And it's tough.
Obviously I just mentioned Skin in the Game, which is a good book that you should read about this, because those people investing don't have any skin in your game.
Right.
No skin in the game, baby.
Which isn't necessarily a good thing, but they're not all created equal, certainly. Like I'm very I've been very critical of a lot of the PE purchases, but I'm never critical of the whole. It's not a systemic necessarily problem. It's the fact that you have bad actors that are mixed in. Getting more money to the industry, owning a contractor is a noble thing. If you are a personal owner of a contractor, the reason they're giving you a lot of money is because they think what you're doing is worth even more money than that. Like they're not giving you money because they're guessing that someday, no, they're saying like in 3 to 5 years, they think that the value will be that much more of what you thought was this valuable today. But I think the biggest thing that I would say about that, the thing that's been bugging me most, is the sheer lack of wanting to train people. The private equity comes in, they want to get value immediately, and they're not looking at to train a VDC guy. We're like, okay, or a person. It's really 7 years. Like we're not going to say that out loud, but it's really 7 years before they're really good. All of these places are looking to sell within 3. Why would you train someone for 7?
You got to really.
And then, we're just going to use software instead. And then we'll complain about not having people, or we'll scout people, good people from wherever they are and like put them in this situation. So I feel like the bad actors do that. Like they identify themselves immediately by not giving us signs that they're going to continue training, that they're really concerned with leadership. The good actors are coming in there. They're like, keep your leadership. No. We bought you because we think you're profitable. How can we help you grow? Like I've met a couple of private equity buyers where the president's like, listen, I finally have the money to grow as fast as I can. I'm buying all this equipment. And it's like, hell yes, you're increasing the volume coming out of that shop because you have some investment money. And I feel like brick and mortar is a great example of that too. Like there are times when VCs come in and they're like, do more advertising. And then there's times when a VC comes in and says, how does your product work? Here, we'll give you other people to help you make your product work better. We really want you to sell this, but we want it to be a valuable thing. We don't want the churn. So definitely it is the theme of the day and is scary because, what the Industrial Revolution, like all the antitrust stuff. But boy, they're not all created equal either. There's a big variance. So if you guys could have to cut, if I had to say negative or positive for the industry, like you're not allowed, exclude the middle, where do you come down today? Because we can ask this again next year, where we see kind of how this rolls out. Because if you asked me today, I'd say because of the lack of regulation and sort of the everybody on board, I'm going to say it's negative right now. This is a negative thing for the industry. Where you guys sit?
That's kind of where I am too. So I was trying to look up the name of somebody on one of our sessions. And again, I'm looking at it from a very specific lens. I'm looking at it from an industry advocacy standpoint, from an association standpoint, because I'm seeing some of the things that I've talked about, like these private equity people come in and they let the company run for a couple of years, and then, like you said, they're kind of looking at what their horizon is. So all of a sudden, they're thinking about cutting costs, right? So they're thinking about cutting costs so they can make the profit go up, so they can get ready to sell. Well, that means, you know what, that stuff you do with Smack now, with MCA, with Nika, we're going to stop doing all that. Yeah, you can't have peer groups anymore. Some of that stuff. Again, this is just a personal thing. I'm not representing anybody here. Blah 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 blah. The disclaimers that we got to put out. It just bothers me because I think that the three of us out there trying to be like, we love the industry. We think that the stuff that folks like us do, folks that in the associations do, and the peer groups do, is incredibly important to the industry. And you do get some of those, and I wouldn't maybe even consider them necessarily bad actors. They just don't understand it, and they don't care to. And maybe that,
no skin.
Right. Well, so I said mergers and acquisitions, right? I didn't actually focus it purely on PE because there are really large other firms buying up other groups. So Quanta Systems, Quanta bought Cupertino, then they bought DSI, and they're building a conglomerate of
MCOR's building a
and
huge
then
company.
MCOR's
Also
doing the same thing, right? They bought Miller Electric this year. So like those guys are different in my opinion.
Very different. They already have skin in the game.
In the mergers and acquisitions, they have skin in the game and they're buying into markets, right? Yeah. And that's a good thing. John, you really made me rethink a little bit there on that the PE could be detrimental in that they come into other markets and are looking to generate profits in a shorter period of time. And how many, not even to fault them, let's say, take the bad actors aside. Okay, let's just take PE in general and how they operate and what they do. Good actors at how they operate. They want a 3-year exit, 5-year exit. They're like the VCs. Our VCs have learned that we are not the natural, usual cycle, and you have to have more of a hold for a longer period of time, given the market that we are. So you made me rethink it a little bit. So I will say... Oh man, I wanted to be the one. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a big Get Up fan in the morning. If you guys don't watch it, it's the ESPN show, and so like Greeny, the host, always votes against. If all three of us are going to be like voting for the Eagles to win tonight,
right?
Then he's got to vote for the other team because like you can't have it that way. So I wanted to vote the other way, but man, I want to separate the two. I do find it interesting to see what Quanta and others and MCOR are doing. I think there's an opportunity because they, like you said, Travis, they invest in the time and working with the associations and et cetera. But it'll be interesting to see the PEs and how it goes.
I would say, I think it's funny. We're coming up on the end of 2025. We started this 2019. Do you remember like the first shows like out there and we're just talking about co-opetition because everybody's trying to keep their secret sauce to themselves. And now we got, even with the consolidation, I can already see it's like, you guys are going to think you have a secret sauce and it's still going to be Prego. And it's still going to be off the shelf. And it's like, and I think it's like, we're going to have to rehash this entire thing where it's like, do you know where the top tier of contractors came? It came from the people that honestly collaborated most with the rest of the industry. Cause they just like I can't think of a contractor that's outperforming. That's not a big collaborator. Like it's really hard. Agree. I mean, there's one, I think there's one contractor in particular I could think of, but even within that one, there's 2 or 3 teachers that they send out that provide tremendous collaboration with the rest of the industry. So it's just, I mean, most of the best contractors I know collaborate and co-opetition the hell out of every piece of innovation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, because it's not their secret sauce. It never has been, never will be. And by the way, John, you just described the world, right? We're cyclical.
Yes,
Everything is freaking cyclical, and that is the way it works. And we do, right? One of my favorite quotes is, history doesn't actually repeat itself. It just really rhymes.
Yep.
I like that.
And we do it in different incantations, and they're going to realize that, like, wow, okay, I thought I could have the secret sauce and alienate myself, let's say, from a Smachna, right? And then all of a sudden I've realized, hey, by the way, somebody figured out these incredible innovations in what's probably a small spot, a small fabrication facility, a small contractor that's figured out something that's wicked wild, and everybody could benefit from it. And by the way, guess who starts doing it? All the other smalls and mediums that are still involved in Smachna. Yeah. And then they go, well, what about us? And you go, well, rejoin. Come on, get involved again. Yep. You know, they don't stop. The interesting thing is, this is what I don't get is, they don't actually stop their memberships. They stop their participation. And I'm not saying that to sheet metal contractors. I'm saying that is every industry org I know of where people pull back, they still pay their dues.
Right. Well, you know, there's a whole reason for that, especially on the union side. That gets into that. But
on the union side, you have to. Yeah, exactly.
But also too, like there's just like, yeah, we're still involved. We still get the newsletters, but yeah, they really pull back the engagement itself, which is what I'm the biggest proponent of.
Yeah, you got to wonder though. Like, I think you pointed out something that I found like this year's underlined it also. Like the unicorns out there, like they aren't at the big companies. They're at a bunch of little companies where they don't know what else is going on in the industry. And you like come up on the company and you'll be like, holy crap, this is the most innovative shop I've ever seen in my life. It's only the size of a garage. But it's like, if you were to maximize every square inch of this garage, you have done this, and, you know, and you're looking around for the genius. And I sometimes wonder with the bigger companies, when you sort of homogenize the way things are done and when everything's very process based, if you're a unicorn sort of run off, you know what I mean? They sort of make their way to the door during that process.
I hate to give them any credit for it, but I do. Jake Olson. Innovator's Dilemma, baby. Innovator's Dilemma.
Yeah, that's a good book. Yeah. I don't know that he can get credit for that entire book.
No, I give him credit because he introduced me to it very early on when I first met him. Yeah, and he said, Jeff, I love what you're saying. Read the Innovator's Dilemma. It's like describing exactly what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, wow, it is the truth, right? Like that's what these large conglomerates that are building and buying could forget, right? Not all of them forget. I know a lot of them there's not a lot of them, but I know a few of them that are still keeping those pockets and that trying to do that. But one of the ways what they're underestimating is one of the ways to do that is to be involved in those industry organizations to get a chance to see it, right? You literally may not be able to do it, but like you said, John, I can go to that little garage shop that's doing the Smachna Fab tour and go, holy cow, I could do that at scale. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Yeah. So we edged into a little bit of what's going on in the world. Jonathan, what's your 2025 takeaways, man? Like what this year surprised you and what delivered right where you thought it would, good or bad?
Like my takeaway was this was the year of the AI desert. AI sucked up the technological, it was sucking up all the oxygen. I mean, like I usually will see I have a bunch of tool companies where I'm always watching like their new tool to come out, and they all invested in AI. So I didn't get to see like the next exoskeleton or, you know, an improved layout robot. No, I got to see some like mask over ChatGPT or LLM RAG system. So from a grumpy standpoint, that was the year. I think from a positive standpoint, I saw more executive sort of buy into really bringing their companies to the digital level. Like usually I had a lot of pushback. No one's doing it. We kind of hit that point where it's like, okay, everybody's doing it. And with data centers, you got to do it. So this was a very, this was a very growth year from that. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from the year was, wow, what the hell happened? Like everything went AI, but AI is not fully baked yet. And it's not even a meal, man. It's just the microwave. Like I said, it's like I think you guys may have missed the whole idea that this just makes data faster, and you still need data. But that was kind of my takeaway from the year. I would say again though, like the executive buy-in for technology, the executive push for technology is going to change the industry next year. There's just too many of them that I've met that, like, I've even met ones that I had worked with in the past and then heard their new version of reality. And I was like, oh my gosh, you bought in, like this is it. And it's not buying into sort of the hype of technology. It's more the fact that I think the technology's matured on that, on your, what's the one you like? The
Gartner hype cycle.
Gartner hype cycle. They're to that nice plane where we have a couple good gurus. They know how to lay out this stuff. Like you can now, with a lot of the fab shops, there are people that understand how to do that at a high level of detail and can help you out, because there's gurus. The technology has been around enough. And I never thought the executives would go for it, but now they seem to be reaching out. And I know that what executive buy-in means. Like when I was at Spader, executive buy-in was why we had the fab shop that we had.
So you're saying we're on the slope of enlightenment. That's what you're talking about. That's where we come
actually,
out of it.
I would say this. We are still on Mount Stupid for AI. We are up on Mount Stupid. We've seen over the edge, and we got some people that jumped into the valley of despair. Yeah. But we're at that plateau of disillusionment. Yeah, but when you look at the fab shop stuff, the more determinate software, the Revit tools, everything like that, we're like sharpening a needle that's already sharp. There's not a lot of movement there. We have our gurus. We kind of know how to build shit. I feel like we flattened out there, but the AI sucked the air out of everything. The tools really pissed me off because I usually see a lot more physical tools. Because if you're going to give the field something, don't give them software. Technology is tools too. Give them something that is just going to make life not suck.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Yes. I mean, I hate to throw down and say, and I'll call them out. Hey, Hilti. Hey, Milwaukee. Hey, DeWalt.
Oh, not Milwaukee. Hey, Milwaukee doesn't do software.
Bring us the tools, baby. And actually, I will agree with you. I did get a call from Milwaukee this year. By the way, I need a call again next year because I couldn't go this year. But I want to see more of your tools because that is some great stuff. But I agree with you, John. And I think you just highlighted that they're different versions of these softwares are in different stages of the hype cycle. Yeah. But I think most of the industry is still standing at the precipice of Mount Stupid, or what we call the peak of inflated expectations. So Mount Stupid is what we call it. But listen, your executives, your people who are trying to figure out what in the world is going on are at the peak of inflated expectations. It's going to solve 50% of the labor shortage that we have. It's going to solve the X and the Y. No. It's a tool, guys. And it's going to go to the trough and it's going to go to the trough of disillusionment. It is. And by the way, LLMs are wherever, and NLP is wherever, and computer vision is wherever, and these other things that John can do better than I can are at different phases of this.
But blockchain definitely worked out. Everybody's using blockchain.
That's right. That's everywhere.
I mean, for crying out loud, I'm going to do it. And James Benham, you're not watching the show, but anybody else who knows it goes, blockchain. I did that dance 7 years ago, guys. I ain't still using blockchain for nothing, just so y'all know.
Yeah, right.
So I want to say that with that, Travis, what are your takeaways?
My takeaways are, I guess, somewhat similar. Like, I think that it's been a year of nothing but AI, nothing but chaos and uncertainty. At least what you're seeing and hearing everywhere. But when you kind of look at it from just, and I'm not an economist or anything like that, but everything still seems like steady growth, and there's obviously some issues out there, but from a construction industry standpoint, there's still, it just seems like where everybody's still intending or feeling like they're going to go gangbusters, right? I think that some of the projects are going to be different. Some might are shelved because of the uncertainty. I think that there's some concern in different parts of the industry of where these things are going. Some of these mega projects, one of the concerns that we're having, some of our contractors are having for some of the data centers is there's just not as much tin in there. There's not as much sheet metal. But I'm also a believer, like everything's cyclical, right? They're going to find another cooling method that's going to be better than whatever the cooling method they're doing now, and that's going to come around. And I think some people are a little bit short-sighted in what a mega project means. It's not just the project, right? There's going to be a lot of ancillary work that ends up springing around that, and I think that's going to be a boon to the industry as well. I think that you're seeing a big year of the haves having more and the not haves having less. I'm not like an economic statement there. It's just the type of contractors, like the bigs, that just keep getting bigger. And I think that one of the silver linings out of that is, we alluded to it earlier, is like I'm starting to have some of those small and middle tier mom and pop type contractors saying, okay, maybe I can't afford a full CTO position, but what can I do? And I think those are the right conversations for them to start having.
Yeah.
And I think both you or Jonathan and Jeff, both you've said this, is it will allow them to maybe not, punch above their weight too much that they're replacing the national contractors coming in, but they're going to compete. They're going to take a slice of the market. They're going to perform better on the types of jobs that maybe that national contractor is not even going to look at. And I think that's the right place for those companies to be. I do think that field tools aside, and I'm not talking hammers and saws or whatever. I'm talking like the digital tools aside. I think that we've all kind of had text threads where I think that those maybe are not quite where we want them to be. But I think there's tools for those types of contractors to again right size their businesses and be able to compete at a good area.
Yeah. I mean, you hit a point. I'm gonna jump into mine. Is I think you hit on something that people aren't thinking about. So a lot of the areas where these hyperscalers are going in, and some of the other advanced manufacturing, are areas that are depressed already because they lost steel, they lost other cornerstone industries, right? Mm-hmm. And everything crumbled. What people don't realize is when you bring all of this there, you create a secondary economy. So like sheet metal contractors that are there, and the HVAC and the plumbing and everybody who's there, you're going to get to build stores, and those people need to shop. They need to eat. They need to congregate. They need to do the things they need to do. That requires infrastructure that is a secondary economy that these folks are really, really ready to do. Those smaller contractors are ready to deliver on and deliver at what's a sustainable level in the end, right? Like, honestly, all of these advanced manufacturings, et cetera, they don't bring the amount of people that the old steel mills and those things used to bring, but they bring a very healthy, higher margin, like higher growth group of people. So there's a secondary economy. So don't not think about that.
Right.
But John, okay, so that's a positive. Another positive that I got from SMACNA and the National, and by doing that talk I did with those folks was, and I did it with MCA and others, is the data focus. So yes, AI sucked the life out of people. And if you look at it, I'm going to be honest, it's a little scary. Like 40% of our growth in construction, if you take the hyperscalers, the AI boom to build data centers out, we're declining. We're not increasing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're over 40% of our market.
Correct.
And we don't know that they're going to make it. Like, let's be honest. I mean, people don't love to hear this, but like, we've seen these failures before. if they fail now or they fail in a year or two from now, we're going to be okay. If we let them go 3-5 years and they fail, it's going to be catastrophic. So to me, and look, there's a lot of investment out there, a lot of things out there. How are you going to get that return? Luckily, we're in a place right now where a lot of them, they're operating on capital that's not going to cause those kind of problems. But we know how these folks go when the arms races pull out and start going. So again, it's a cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you kind of pointed it out, and even in your positive, is, those boom towns, whether it was gold or whether it was steel or whatever else, you build all that infrastructure really fast. Unfortunately, there's a problem where that industry leaves. You have now a ghost town, but I wanted to hit one more thing just because I think we have just a little bit more time, and we talked about this a little off, and I didn't think of it as my biggest thing of the year. It's my biggest thing of the moment. Is, back going to when we started everything, Olson did one on the digital divide between the field and the office. And when I was traveling, this time more than any other time, I saw that increasing at a frightening rate. And it wasn't that the field was not embracing technology necessarily. It was just that the office was so reliant on process and technology. And so often when those processes and tech hit the field where stuff is less organized than your shop, it falls to pieces. And, those guys in the field, at the end of the day, legit, we get paid for what they install. They have to install it. There's nobody, they don't get to kick it down the road. They don't get to act like someone else is going to do it. They have to actually do the work. And I think that I think that, we're giving a lot of technology to our PMs. Again, that there's a reason for that. It's tough to find good PMs. It's tough to train them. People don't want to spend the time to do those things. But the field people that I see out there are getting left out to dry by this system. It's not working for them. The offices are growing at a rate that's too fast. And we talked again earlier, those listening in radio or podcast world. Wow, I really dated myself there. Radio land. But we did talk how that's a pendulum. But this year, for me, more than anything else, as I talked to people in the field, they were like, yeah, I tell them I'm using it, but I'm not using it. I'm telling you, yes, it's on the drawings, but I never touched it. And when I see a drawing, and I still see physical drawings a lot, they're marked up. You know what happened? What means when you see a lot of math on a drawing, it means that you didn't give them what they needed. You didn't help them. You may have thought you helped them, but most of the tech we're giving them, dude, is to track them. Just trash. That was yeah. So I'll get off my soapbox. I just wanted to mention.
No, stay on your soapbox. I'm going to leave you on your soapbox for a second because this is where I'm going to contradict something you said earlier. Because it's what I've experienced and it's a takeaway from 2025 as a cautionary tale that I'm going to tell people. The digital divide, in my opinion, has a lot to do with leadership pulling back from truly investing in field training and technology adoption and the people that make that stuff happen. I cannot tell you how many people, and I am here to represent you. If you're one of our construction technologists, if you're one of those people out there that have lost your job or been removed for whatever reason, it's a travesty because what they needed to do was focus you on getting to the field, figuring out what's not working and growing it. And they're cutting a salary because they're cutting their nose off to spite their face, is my opinion. Yes. But it's rampant, man. And I think it's adding to that digital divide in a way you cannot quantify. Because a construction technologist, I've got a lot of them. I'm out there. I can scan. I can work in Procore. I can do clash detection, coordination. And so I know, and I can go out to the field and they're like, well, shut up. And you're like, oh no. And by the way, it's at those, and not to blame them, but it's at a lot of those smaller shops because a lot of the work that they're looking at is drying up in respect to they're not the hyperscalers, they're not the advanced manufacturing, they're not those people, and they're thinking that the end is coming, that the nuclear winter is here, but it's not really, if they think outside that box. So that's my takeaway. But my positive is, are people that are gonna make AI work in the future are the ones who are talking to me today about data in a way I've never heard them talk about before. I mean, a focus that I've never, ever. I mean, I had people talking to me about job numbers and all these little pieces of data set that you're like, oh my God, we've been asking you to think about this forever. Thank you for thinking about it. No, you're absolutely wrong the way you're thinking about it, but great.
Doesn't matter. You're right. It's like directionally right.
Just be thinking it,
right?
So those are mine for the year. So,
what do you think, Travis?
Trav, what did you get from all that?
It's a lot. I do agree. I think that, I'm always the eternal optimist, the techno optimist, everything like that. So, in everything is a pendulum. I think it's anything that we've seen swinging bad a direction. I'm hearing enough from, like you said, from people that are starting to get it. They're starting to get into it. The younger generation is starting to understand it. And I do think a lot of the younger generation coming in our industry has just the right amount of cynicism. You know, just the right amount of cynicism and distrust, but not so much like, I'm just going to blow it off. It's not the old, 4-person on the job that's just like, screw this technology, I'm going to do things. They're starting to question it, and they're starting to figure out how to make it work for them the right way.
Yeah. I agree. John, go ahead.
I didn't get enough exposure to those people, Travis. I need to start hanging out with those people. I'm just telling you. I unfortunately was hanging out with the foremen on the job sites that were like, I can tell you 6 different ways that I spent today writing down what happened today, and I don't know why. And he says, I have 360 camera, but I don't take pictures. I have to write down what's gone on today in like 900 ways I used to install stuff. And I think I do need to get with it. You know what? I think that's probably it. I'm probably taking the old grumpy and like making it a part of me where I need to hang out with some young people that are like, no, hell no, we can do that in 2 seconds with this script I wrote in Python, and I'm just going to go install shit.
No, but you know what it is? We got to go back to the basics. Basics. Rewind all the way to when I got involved in this industry completely. And Sasha Reed did a talk with first name was Justin. That's all I'm going to remember. And it was the symbiotic mentorship idea. We need to bring people together who know how to build things with people who know how to use tools, and let them work together and build greater things. Because here's what I need. I need a person who's going to have dirty boots and get dirty next to an experienced, fantastic builder, and look at what they're doing and go, hey guys, that stuff doesn't work. This person has to take their glove off, and it's in a dangerous situation. Right. They've got a camera and it's bullshit. Like whatever it is, whatever we don't know, because we don't know it, and tell us, look, if I have to create a form that has 1 field per iPhone so your 5-thumbed hand can do it, tell me how to do it. Because that, by the way, is the barrier. John, everything you're talking about, there's a true and present barrier to why they can't do it. And that is, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to throw this out there as a 2026 preview. 2026 is the year of the user experience and understanding what the hell it is our people in the field do, not the office.
And I think there's an important bit of onus on us for folks in our position, because we have started to talk about the CTO, to teach those people that want to be CTOs, the companies that want to talk about having a CTO, so that they're utilizing technology better, to have those conversations, to understand that part of it, right? To understand the frustration that, and not just like, oh, I've got a CTO. That means that I've just got to keep piling on with all this technology, and I just got to make sure it's keep it all running. You got to make sure it's having the positive results. Have that strategic view. Is this delivering on the promise that I gave my executive team, or is this delivering on the promise that I gave to the owner?
And I'm going to put that onus on us, because the future is, if those CTOs can exist, they need operational technologists that know how to do things in the field and know what the field experience is for real. And the fab shop, like, don't forget,
right?
Fab shops aren't perfect yet. They'll be perfect someday, but they're not. Go ahead, John. I'm killing you.
No, actually, you gave me something perfect, because like I was trying. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think the thing is, if you're a fab shop and I teach process, you need great process. You need to write down all your damn processes. But if you're in the field, that is a different physical environment. And I'm telling you, you can't beat physics. All right. You need great judgment in the field. If you're in the fab shop, you need great process. In your field, you need great judgment. And I think those are two different things. Like judgment, we get the data in front of you so you can make good decisions, because you make good decisions. And we don't know that there's a scissor lift in the way and it's snowing and the fat guy turned up late and is holding you up. We don't know all those things. And those are definitely not in our process. In our fab shop, we control that. I feel like the digital divide is a lot about a kind versus a wicked environment. Like,
I knew you were going to say
that's ultimately what it is.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I can't help it, man. That book destroyed my brain. But it is like, in the shop, I want you to have the best processes and procedures you can ever have. And in the field, I want you to have the best judgment you can have, because processes and procedures will not help you if you can't control the environment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do, actually. And I think that's the value of understanding. By the way, guys, we started this with, we don't get paid to fabricate. We get paid when it's installed.
Yeah. If you can't get paid to fabricate, you win the game. So like, try to do that.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, that is a way easier goal.
Sure, but you got to go big, and you got to have a lot of square foot, and you got to have a lot of throughput, and you got to chase a lot of work. So
you got to have a lot of money.
Opportunity
you have a lot of money to make a lot of money.
So remember, focus on what's important, and don't forget any of it. It's a wicked environment, John. We knew he would go there. We had to.
Dude, for everybody out there, read the book Range. Once you understand kind and wicked environments, it just applies everywhere. And you're like, oh, that means you can't do that there.
That is true. And listen, guys, this is awesome. We have not done this enough. We need to do it more. We'll never catch up to what we want. We'll never do it as much as we want. It's just like construction. It's the way we are. But I can't think of a better way to spend the night than talk to you two. And Trent, we're missing you, brother. But you're always here with us in spirit. We'll see you on the next episode. Any final words, John or Travis?
No, I was just thinking that we've probably had 4 mic drop moments where we could have just ended the episode right there. But I know
it was just too good to have you guys on. So listen, with that, this is What the Dork special episode post Paradise with the Construction Dorks.